Good afternoon, all my ball knowers. This is episode 5 of the Southern Spread with Kurt Kemp, and it is Monday, and that means we have a recap. And we had a pretty fun weekend, to be honest with you. You know, there was some upsets in what we thought was going to be kind of a boring week in college football, and then there was a couple really good games. That we did not expect to be really good games. So what we're going to do today is run through this SEC slate of games and then go through the big games and then get to my upset of the week pick that I picked last week and talk about that one as well. So let's run through some of these little cupcake games, and then I'll give you a rundown of next week as well. San Jose State at Texas, 38-7 Texas. Arch Manning, 19 of 30, 295, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, 4 carries, 23 yards, and a touchdown. CJ Baxter, 13 carries, 64 yards. No Quintravian Wisner this past Saturday, and no Quintravian Wisner this upcoming week as well, or so it seems so far. Parker Livingston, DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo, the 3 receivers for Texas, all had 4 catches each in that game. Still not great. I expected a lot more points. You know, Arch looked a little more comfortable, a little better, but the 1 interception, and he didn't carry the ball a ton, which he probably will carry it a few more in most big games. Got a little more help from his receivers this week. Like I said, 3 guys with 4 catches, so spread the ball around a little bit. Looked a lot better than week 1, but still not to the hype that people think he is, you know. So he needs to just keep building on this week and keep that up going forward. And Utah State at Texas A&M, 44-22. Marcel Reed, 19 of 28 for 220, I think it says. 3 touchdowns. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. No picks, and 10 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown on the ground as well for Marcel Reed. The big thing for me in this game was the rushing attack from not doing anything in week 1, and it was so much better. So much better. You know, they didn't have a back over the 40-yard mark in week 1. And in week 2, we got 3 of them, including Marcel Reed, with 40-plus yards, which is great news. And that's what I called out last Friday, what I wanted to see, and they succeeded in that this past Saturday. Le'Veon Moss, 10 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Ruben Owens, 7 for 40, and like I said, Marcel Reed, 10 for 66. Along with that is I wanted them to continue on the new transfer receivers, and Mario Craver with 5 catches, 114 yards, and a touchdown. KC Concepcion, 6 catches, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So that is phenomenal news for the Aggies to continue that on a week-to-week basis. Surprise, they gave up 22 points, but there's a but there. They did play a ton of guys on Saturday. They had 26 players record a tackle. So, you know, they were running guys in and out and playing a bunch of young guys. So that's going to happen even in those games where you should win, you know, 45-10, 45-3. But playing everybody and getting a bunch of new guys some reps, which is what these games are for as well. That's why that score ended 44-22. Aggies. Louisiana Tech at LSU, 23-7 Tigers. Garrett Nussmeier, 26 of 41, 237, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, only 5.8 yards per attempt. I do not like that. Caden Durham also struggled, 13 carries for 29 yards. He did have a touchdown, but only 2.2 yards per attempt. Not great from the Tigers. And Barry and Brown, 8 for 94. Aaron Anderson, 8 for 73. It seems like they didn't push the ball downfield a ton this past week, and after the offensive line had an incredible first game, they're still not a consistent, cohesive group. Clearly, they gave up 3 sacks and 8 TFLs this past Saturday, and that's not good. That does not. I mean, you gotta protect Nuss and give him time. And that's probably one of the reasons why it wasn't pushed down the field. 23-7 in this game. That doesn't show me a lot from the Tigers. It's showing they struggled immensely on Saturday. But bright spots: Barian Brown and Aaron Anderson are studs. So let's get that run game going, and let's clean up that offensive line. And I think the Tigers will be fine. You know, they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they got tons of weapons around him. I think it was just a game where they didn't play well, coming off of a game where they had to, you know, just do it all for to beat Clemson. And so I think that probably is a little layover from that, you know. So we'll see if they bounce back and have a better performance this upcoming week. Continuing on, UL Monroe at Alabama, 73-0 Tide. Ty Simpson, 17-17 for 226 and 3 touchdowns. Kevin Riley, 11 carries, 69 yards. No Ryan Williams in this game due to a concussion. We will see how long he is out. I would guess on a concussion. I don't know how bad it is, but I would say at least this week as well, at least 2 weeks. So this past week plus this week, and we will see what happens after this week. I think they have enough to beat Wisconsin out with no Ryan Williams. Jeremy Bernard, 3 catches, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Isaiah Horton, the Miami transfer, 3 catches for 51 yards and a touchdown. Ty Simpson, a much better game. We all knew he was going to have a much better game this week, facing that UL Monroe defense. We all know he can throw in the pocket, and he did that very well this past Saturday. Obviously, he did not miss a pass. 100% completion percentage, 17 of 17. He did not have to get out of the pocket though, so we will see whenever he gets pressure if that has gotten cleaned up any. I do foresee it being cleaned up. I think he is a very good ball player, and I don't think those off passes will last too long for him. Jeremy Bernard, very, very underrated. I think Jeremy Bernard is a stud receiver that nobody talks about. Jam Miller, hopeful return on Saturday against Wisconsin. I think they really need Jam Miller back to give Kevin Riley another guy, and obviously Jam Miller would be the RB1, but having Kevin Riley as RB2 is a very good, you know, two-headed monster essentially in that backfield. I think they're really missing Jam Miller. I think he'll open up a ton in the pass game as well for the Tide. So we will see if he plays on Saturday or not. Moving on, Arkansas State at Arkansas, 56-14. Razorbacks. Taylon Green, 17-26 for 239, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, 9 carries, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Man, that dude was using his legs on Saturday. Mike Washington, the running back, 9 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Very good day for Mike Washington Jr. And not a lot of Braylon Russell. He did have a touchdown, but only 5 carries as he had 25 yards. So I think we'll see more of Braylon Russell this upcoming week. Omega Blake is clearly the guy for Taylon Green, as he led the team in catches. I think he was 5 for 64 and a touchdown, and I think the next closest guy had 2 catches, and he spread it around a lot to everybody else. For me, you know, Taylon Green just limit the turnovers, the 2 picks against Arkansas State. Not great. The run game looks really good for the Hogs right now. But yeah, I think just limiting turnovers, Taylon Green, and being consistent on a week-to-week basis is what we're looking for from him to see this next week. Moving on, Ball State at Auburn, 42-3 Tigers. Jackson Arnold, just want to say thank you. And thank you, Hugh Freeze, finally putting the ball in there and getting your playmakers the ball. Yes, you didn't have to do it against Baylor because you ran all over them, but I'm glad to see those two receivers heavily involved in that game plan this past week, especially knowing what's coming in a couple weeks and knowing you're going to have everybody going. So Jackson Arnold, 24 of 28, 251, 3 touchdowns. So really good day for him, completion percentage-wise. Only missing 4 balls. Jeremiah Cobb, 11 carries, 121 yards, and 2 tutties. The receivers, keep the usage up. Cam Coleman, 7 catches, 77 yards. Eric Singleton Jr., 4 catches, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that's what I expect to see out of those guys on a week-to-week basis. I think they are that good, and I think those should be, the normal statistics for those guys in every single game this week with how good they are, or this season, I should say. And Jackson Arnold, he might be really, really good in this Hugh Freeze offense. It's a lot of movement, a lot of different things going on in that offense, and I think that just helps Jackson Arnold and his play style a lot and playmaking abilities. But we will find out for sure in 2 weeks as they have a big test. We had some FCS games in the SEC this week. So we had South Carolina State at South Carolina, and the Gamecocks win handily, or 38-10. Not handily, but 38-10. And it would have been a lot closer without special teams, to be honest with you. Not a great day for the Gamecocks. Weather may have been a factor. That game was delayed a little bit, and it was just pouring rain over there in Columbia. But I don't know if that played a big factor. I mean, Lenore Sellers didn't have a great game. He didn't play terrible, but it was not good either. I would say his game was not great. 11 of 19, 128, 1 touchdown, 8 carries, 23 yards. It's kind of the similar statistics as the week before against Virginia Tech. And I don't know if hype's getting to him or what, but I think the weather may play a factor in this week and play calls. But the run game at South Carolina this week also was not great. As your lead back, Attaway, 2.9 yards per carry against South Carolina State. Even with the rain, that's what you expect to have in a game with rain, is at least the run game. So that's got to be better. 36 for 125 as a team, 3.5 yards per carry. That needs to be bumped, especially against an FCS opponent. And dangerous in special teams is Vakari Swain. 2 touchdowns via punt return this past week, and he also had one against Virginia Tech the week before. So that's 3 touchdowns in the punt return game in 2 games. So this guy back there is dangerous. Let's kick it away from Vakari Swain, it seems. You take those 2 punt returns out of the game for a touchdown. This game is 24-10, So that's a big thing that you have to take into account. I know you see 38-10, and you're like, oh, it's a 4-score game. No, I mean, it was, yes. Don't get me wrong, but the special teams, and that's just a huge part of games nowadays. And if you got a guy like Vakari Swain who is that dangerous, you should probably stay away from him. The next one was also a 2:30 game. Austin Peay at Georgia, 28-6, and this is not. I don't really know what to think about that score. I guess Austin Peay threw a bunch of different looks at Georgia and just tried to slow them down and limit big plays, it seems like. Gunnar Stockton missed a lot of open receivers. I watched a little bit of film on it today, and there was a play where they ran a post wheel concept, and the post took out the safety, and the wheel just had the corner. He was gone. It was a touchdown. 60-yard touchdown bomb, and he, instead of hitting that wheel route, he checked it down to the back. Yes, it ended up making it a 2nd and 4 to a first down or something like that, but You know, those are those plays that you expect an SEC quarterback to hit. Is that concept and score that touchdown, especially against good teams. And when you need a big play, you're gonna have to throw that ball, and you're gonna have to hit that ball. So I think that's something they need to improve on in the coming week, especially coming to Knoxville on Saturday. You got to hit that ball, or at least got to throw it. Got to make them think you're going to throw it. So not great from Gunnar Stockton, 26 of 34, 227. Yes, he only missed 8 balls, but it wasn't really the missed passes of Gunnar Stockton this past week. It was more so what he didn't see, or just being reluctant to throw a ball. If it's a dig, if it's a 15-yard dig and he's got a safety over the middle and this guy's coming this way and you hit him right on his cut, this guy's not getting here, and it's a ball that SEC quarterbacks should be able to throw and make and hit. So that dig coming across here, cut, throwing it right here, and that safety's never getting there to make that play. So I think that's something that he needs to work on this week, is not being so, I guess, safe with the ball, because those balls are wide open. But I guess some crazy good DB could make that play, but it's very rare that play gets made in a lot of these throws that I saw on the film. So I think he's got to play not play dangerously, but just play it less safe. He's got to sling the rock a little bit, and he's got to do that for his team. That will just open up the run game, which they really want to do. And that leading into their run game this past week, it looked so good, and it's looked so good the first couple games. And they have a guy who is Nate Frazier, 14 carries, 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chauncey Bowens, 11 carries, 56 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Dwight Phillips Jr., 7 carries for 55 yards. Their O-line is good again. Their gaps schemes, pull schemes, everything. I mean, their O-line looks good. And so that run game is what, to be honest, if I'm Tennessee on Saturday, I'm making Gunnar Stockton throw the ball. If he's reluctant to throw some of those balls, I mean, make him have to throw them is what I think should happen on Saturday. I think they've got to stop the run first on Saturday. The Vols do. Bright spot in the receiving corps is Colby Young, though, 7 catches for 76 yards for the Dogs. Looked really good, big body receiver, But I mean, they have tons of weapons. They got 4 tight ends that are really, really good. They have 4 tight ends that would probably start almost anywhere else in the country. Let me put it that way. And then the O-line is good. The backs are good. The defensive line is good. The front seven's good. We'll see how that back end is on Saturday. They're probably good too. They usually are. I just think the big thing right now is the reluctancy of throwing some of these balls that Gunnar Stockton needs to throw to be super, super competitive this season. So yeah, Dogs get it done 28-6 against Austin Peay. The last FCS game was East Tennessee State at Tennessee, 72-17 Vols. Most points scored for a Tennessee team in the common years, I think. ETSU had 2 transfer quarterbacks that were starters in Power 4 this past season, or maybe not last year, but have been before. Jacoby Criswell started at North Carolina last year after Max Johnson went down, and then Cade McNamara by way of Michigan, by way of Iowa, is also at ETSU. So those guys split time. They would go 2 drives in, 2 drives out. It's very interesting to see, these Power 4 quarterbacks who have started before but are not Power 4 attributes, I guess, starting at the FCS level. I think ETSU is a really good FCS team with those guys, with those quarterbacks. I think they could make a big push in the FCS just based off of the talent from those quarterbacks. But I don't like the 2 QB system. I never have. I think you got to get a guy in the groove and let the guy go. But anyways, this SEC we're talking about. Joey Aguilar, 23 of 31, 288, 2 touchdowns. I fully expected him to be a little amped up for his first game in Neyland. You know, I figured the adrenaline running high, it amped up, and we were going to see him dotting balls high and dotting balls in the ground, or putting them out in front too much, you know, to start the game on the first drive. But he did not. He was calm, cool, collected, and looked really good from first quarter till halftime. He only played the first half, and he looked really good. Yes, it was ETSU, but it's just more snaps for Joey Aguilar in that offense, which he needs. It's also a game in Neyland before a big game in Neyland, which he needs. That crowd was still 102,000 for him to play actually in front of that type of crowd in a home environment. I think is big for him, and he looked really good. The run game from the Vols was still super good. Star Thomas, 12 carries, 69 yards, 3 touchdowns. Deshaun Bishop, 3 carries for 68 yards. He only played the first drive. Just resting him, I guess. Peyton Lewis, 8 carries for 19. He's got to be better. Having a 2.2 yards per carry. We can't have that from Peyton Lewis being running these 3 backs out there. Star Thomas might be the best back on the team, as I kind of, a lot of people didn't talk about him coming into the season. I think a lot of people, he was just kind of like a forgotten back. Not a lot of people realized that he transferred in, I guess. But yeah, he started at Duke last year, and he was really good at Duke last year. So yeah, Star Thomas, do it all back, and he is very, very good. We'll see what those guys can do against that Georgia defense on Saturday. Man, these receivers on Saturday were just unreal. Chris Brazzell, 9 catches, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Matthews, 6 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. This one game for Mike Matthews was more yards than he had all of last year, because he wasn't involved in the offense last year, which I think is insane. But yeah, so those guys just getting more reps catching the ball from Joey is big time, running this offense a little better. I think Brazzell's kind of settling in finally. He was a little skittish last year. He'd show up for a game and play really well, and then next 2 or 3 games he might disappear. But it looks like he's finally comfortable in this offense and knows what he's doing, and looks to be a big piece. So really, really looking forward to seeing those guys attacking those Dogs DBs on Saturday, and see about those matchups. I think just from talking about these 2 teams right here, before I finish up on Tennessee, is I think I'm gonna do a segment on Thursday. So two days before game day, I think I want to do a little segment called Talking Tennessee Thursdays. Thank you, Morgan Wallen, for talking Tennessee. But yeah, I think I'm going to do that on Thursday. And the only time I'll do this, I think, is before massive games. So this season, I think we have 4 or 5. Georgia, Oklahoma, Florida, Bama, Arkansas. Probably those 5. I may do it for those 5 games. So I think I'm going to do that. And that whole episode is me sitting here and talking game for Saturday. So I'll talk all things Tennessee, Georgia on Thursday's episode before we get into Friday's full predictions. So I think I'm going to do that this week, just because I think I'm going to have a lot to talk about, and I think it should have its own episode, because it might be a 30-40 minute episode just on that game. So that's what's going to happen there. Okay, so finishing up with Tennessee is, much like A&M's defense, the Vols played a ton of guys on defense this past week. 28 guys recorded a tackle, and that's not even mentioning all the guys who did not record a tackle who played. So, they may have played 35 guys on this past Saturday, as the Vols rout ETSU 72-17. Run game still looks good. And Brazel and Matthews dazzle in the Vols home opener. Back into some of these, more competitive games. I think we got a couple more SECs to get through. Ole Miss at Kentucky. Rebs win 27-20. I think both quarterbacks looked horrendous on Saturday. Austin Simmons, 13-24, 235, 2 picks. Zach Calzada, 15-30, 149. I think both. I don't even think the defenses were that great against these teams. Both these guys missed a ton of passes. Simmons has to limit the turnovers. Yes, he can sling it around and he can throw for 400, 500 yards, but it doesn't matter if he's throwing zero touchdowns and 2 picks every game. I think he had 2 picks the game before as well. It's just, it's something that he's got to clean up. I don't know if it's reading defenses or what, but I think Kiffin being a QB whisperer, I think that'll get cleaned up. And I hope both of these guys are healthy coming into this coming week. They both got injured and went down. So hopefully those guys are healthy and able to continue playing for their respected teams. The receiving stats were Harrison Wallace 4 for 117, Deuce Alexander 4 for 68 for Ole Miss. So pretty good days from those guys. Deuce Alexander looks like the real deal there. And then on the other side, pretty much just Kendrick Law, 6 catches, 44 yards. I think they had a guy with 2 for like 60, but that's one big pass play. So Kendrick Law looks to be the guy at UK, and I like Kendrick Law, transfer from Bama. That dude can run. He is just fast. You get him open or get him out in space, let him make plays, just get the ball in his hands and see what he can do. Run game, very positive from both of these teams. Again, it was a big thing I said. I said the run game for Kentucky could keep them in this game, and I said the run game for Ole Miss could win them this game. And it did both ways. Kawan Lacey for Ole Miss, 28 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown. Very good day from Lacey. We didn't see a ton of Logan Diggs. I missed the start of this one, so he may have gotten injured early. But Kawan Lacey, I bet his back's hurting this Monday from carrying that team on Saturday. For the Wildcats, Seth McGowan, 15 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dante Dowdle, 14 for 56. That's a very good day from their two-headed monster. It really kept them in this game. If Calzada makes a couple more plays in the air, this game may have been 27-20 Kentucky. We don't know. But, yeah, I think that's going to be their holdup all year is Zach Calzada at quarterback as long as he is healthy. I want more Kendrick Law, though, after watching him on Saturday. That dude in space is just unbelievable. Moving on, we had Vandy at Virginia Tech. I was completely wrong on this play. Vandy wins 44-20. Score says 44-20. This was not a 44-20 ball game. It was Virginia Tech was up. Vandy came back, and then in the fourth quarter, in scrub time, Vandy's up, and Virginia Tech's trying to get the ball back, and then they're trying to make plays at the end of the game. So 44-20 is what the scoreboard shows. I would say it was closer to 31-20, 27-20 type of game is the realistic of that game. Pavia, 12 of 18, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 11 carries for 61 yards. Very solid day from Pavia. Nothing crazy, nothing bad. The 1 interception, that's it. Only mistake he had. But outside of that, a very solid day from Diego Pavia, as he was the 3rd highest graded PFF quarterback of the SEC this week, and those 3 are actually the highest graded in the country. Number 1 was Joey Aguilar, number 2 was Ty Simpson, and number 3 was Diego Pavia. Cedric Alexander, 10 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big day for Alexander. He ran the ball really well against the Hokies. Not a ton from the receivers. He spread the ball around a lot on Saturday. The only thing that did hit a big 54-yard bomb to Bryson Coleman, which was a big play in the game for the Commodores. The Border War was a really good game. Golly, that was a good game to watch. Kansas at Missouri. Mizzou took it home 42-31. It started the game, thought Mizzou was about to get blown out. I think it was 21-6 at one point, or something of that. I think it was 21-6 at one point. But then here came the Tigers in the second quarter. Bo Pribula, 30 of 39 for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Man, this guy is good. This guy's a real deal. Came from Penn State. Was a backup at Penn State. Wasn't going to play this year because of Drew Aller. Might as well go play somewhere. Well, he found a home in Mizzou, and he is making the most of it because that guy, his first 2 weeks have been insane, and he looks to be on just a crazy path this year as long as he can keep it up. He didn't run the ball as much as he did last week, but through the air, he just slinging it around on that Kansas defense. The running game from Missouri, crazy in this one as well. Ahmad Hardy 25 carries, 112 yards, 1 touchdown, and Jamal Roberts 13 carries, 143 yards, and 1 touchdown. Those guys look good too. I don't know if the Kansas defense just wanted to stay home or what happened, but in all facets of the game for Mizzou, they looked really good Saturday, as wide receiver 1 has been confirmed as Kevin Coleman Jr., 10 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown from the 4-school transfer. Defense for Missouri looked solid. I expected Jalen Daniels' legs to give them an issue, and the run game was pretty much non-existent from Kansas this past week. The last thing I'll say about this game is Missouri may win 10 games this year because of their schedule. That's just how it's rolling in the SEC right now. If they dropped this one, I thought they might go about 8-4 or whatever. But winning this game, they might go 10-2 just based off of their schedule. And that's all I have to say about that one. And let's get into SEC upsets. Well, first one we'll talk about Arizona State at Mississippi State. The Dogs upset the Sun Devils 24-20. And Blake Shapen looked very sharp on Saturday. 19-33, 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The run game for State was decent, not good, but wasn't terrible, as the backs, Fluff Bothwell, 8 carries, 34 yards, and Devon Booth, 9 carries, 33 yards. So just a solid day, did what they needed to do. Receiving core for the Bulldogs, Brennan Thompson, 6 catches, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns, might be the fastest guy in college football. That dude can move. And then Anthony Evans, the third, 9 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown. Blake Shapen, he's just taking another step up. And I think if he continues to do so, they might beat a couple teams this year that they're not expected to beat, and ruin some hopes and dreams for some of these teams. I could very much see that happen this year. This game ended on a game-winning 58-yard touchdown by Brennan Thompson. So that happened, and Sam Levitt has to, for Arizona State, has to, and this is what I talked about on Friday, find a wide receiver 2. I don't care if it's a running back. I don't care if it's a tight end. I don't care if it's a fullback. You have to find a wide receiver 2. He completed 10 balls on Saturday night. That's not a recipe to go back to the college football playoff for Arizona State. Jordan Tyson can't go 6 for 68 and 2 touchdowns and y'all win games. It's just not going to work in any world. I think that has to be a thing they have to fix fast, because they didn't look great week 1. Tyson looked great, but no wide receiver 2. You have to find one. This week the run game did step up. Arizona State was running the mess out of the football, especially in the second half. I don't know that they threw a ball. I don't remember them throwing a ball until probably when they had to, when Mississippi State finally went up on them. Or yeah, they came back and then Mississippi State went up on them, and I think they finally had to throw a ball. So I think that has to be fixed because, I mean, once you have a wide receiver too, you can throw it around. You can't. That's the issue with them right now is they have nobody else other than Jordan Tyson. I'm not gonna harp on that. With that being said, the biggest upset of the week was not my upset pick, but I did get my upset pick right. But we're not talking about that just yet. The biggest upset of the week came from the SEC. The University of South Florida Bulls take down the Florida Gators, 18-16 in the Swamp. DJ Lagway, 23 of 33, 222 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jaden Ball, 18 carries, 93 yards. 54 of those came in the first drive of the game, and then they just basically gave him the disappearing act and ran everybody else but Jaden Ball for some reason, which is very odd to me. I don't know why, after you have a dude who pretty much handles the whole first drive and then you just go away from it. It just doesn't make sense to me. But what do I know? I'm just talking about it. Eugene Wilson, 7 catches, 60 yards and a touchdown, and Vernell Brown, the freshman, 5 for 56. Those guys looked good. J. Michael Sturdivant was a non-factor in the game. Well, he was a factor. He had a ball that I don't know, a couple drops. And then I think when Dallas Wilson gets back, they'll have a big help there. So things from this game is Lagway did miss a lot of throws he would normally hit, and I think that stems from not practicing a ton in summer camp, and I don't think he practiced at all in spring camp, recovering from an injury. And he's going to be fine. Yes, he will be fine. He is that type of quarterback. When he's healthy, he's really, really good. I just don't know if stuff's still lingering or if it's just because he hadn't practiced a ton. But that'll get cleaned up, I think. But it needs to be cleaned up fast, like this week, if they can help it. So we'll see how he fares on Saturday. Just a couple of kind of questions marks around this program right now. How long does this program ride the Napier train? Because I would have had him. He wouldn't have got back to Gainesville without his office cleaned out if it was me. But that's just me. There's no reason in this world that he's had too many chances, in my opinion. I think they could have done it last year and didn't, and he ended up winning a few games and showing that he probably deserves another year, which, okay, I get it. But then once you get to this year and this happens, it's like that's just the last straw, that type of deal. Because is he gonna do it again where he wins a few games and is he gonna beat Tennessee late in the year? Is he gonna beat some of these teams late in the year? Ole Miss, blah blah, whatever, whoever, ruin some playoff hopes, or even drive them to 9-3, 10-2 somehow, and do that and earn another year. But then it'll always revert back. I think this will be kind of one of those things that he just has lingering over him, where he can win some big games, yes, but how long will the big game wins outweigh bad losses and that type of thing? They have a really tough schedule this year, and after that game, I said before the season they were going to go 8-4 just based off their schedule being so tough, because I thought they had really good players and I thought they were going to be a pretty good team this year. But after that game on Saturday, if I don't know. I'll see this week, and I will confirm or deny after this week what I think of this Florida team. And yeah, that's just one of those things. It was confirmed today that Billy Napier will continue play calling, and I think that was already a mistake in the offseason that they didn't get a play caller. But like I said, I'm just here talking about it, and he's there coaching. So I can't do anything about it. Yeah, I think it was an issue on Saturday, some of his play calling. And I think that's kind of been a thing the past couple years is his play calling. And then he'll have a game like last year, Ole Miss and LSU, where he calls the shit out of plays and and wins those ball games. But that's just how it goes sometimes. So we'll see what happens on Saturday. One of the biggest issues for this team this past week was not even the quarterback play or the drops or not utilizing Jaden Ball or the play calling, none of that stuff. It was just mistakes on the field, penalties. Penalties absolutely killed this team on Saturday. Yes, they could have lost without penalties, or yes, they could have won this ball game even with the penalties. But you take the penalties away, and I don't think there's any way they lose this game, even if it is, 19-18. I think they win. 11 penalties for 103 yards, and on the final drive of the game, I want to say 3 penalties that gave South Florida first downs occurred, and a big personal foul from one of their defensive tackles spitting in one of the offensive linemen's face of South Florida as well. You gotta on that play. I'm not saying that's what lost them the game, but giving them that first down is a big help in South Florida getting down there and kicking a field goal to win the game. You gotta know. If it's in the first half, it's one thing. It's not acceptable at any point in the game. But especially in like the fourth quarter with a minute to go or 2 minutes to go or 30 seconds to go, how much ever time was left on the clock. It's just some of those things you cannot do in a ball game. I don't care what somebody says to you. There's no world where that's acceptable, especially in that moment. So big thing there to work on is cleaning up penalties. You gotta, especially in key moments, they had a couple of them. One of them was iffy call. Yes, I will agree to that. But a couple of them is just bonehead mistakes. And I'm not taking away from this win for South Florida. They played a really good game against the Gators. They played an unbelievable game. Their game plan, they put out a game plan, and they succeeded in that game plan to 100% success, I would say, or close to it. They did what they needed to do on defense to give themselves a chance in this ball game. And Byron Brown, veteran quarterback, just made plays that he needed to make to win them this football game. So I'm not discrediting South Florida at all by talking about what Florida did wrong on Saturday, because South Florida did a ton of things right that would have won them this game, maybe either way on whatever I was just talking about. Because, there's things in every game that teams can do better to probably win them the ball game. So I'm not taking away from South Florida at all, because they played a heck of a game on Saturday, and they pretty much, I wouldn't say handled that game from start to finish, but they were in control of that game for much of the game on Saturday, and I think that's a big key as to why they won that football game. So heck of a job by Alex Golesh and the South Florida Bulls in winning that game. Let's get to the best of the rest. The big games that I talked about. Illinois at Duke, 45-19. Kind of like that Vandy Virginia Tech game. This score shows 45-19. It was not a 45-19 game. It was 28-19 starting the fourth quarter, and Duke had the ball. And the one thing I said about this game was the quarterbacks are very similar. They're both very good. Whichever quarterback makes one more mistake will lose the game, or however I phrased it, whichever quarterback makes less mistakes will win the game. Luke Altmaier did not make a mistake in this football game. 22 of 31, 296, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Darian Mensah throws an interception in the fourth quarter, down by 9. And that is the one mistake of this game, and that allowed Illinois to kind of run up the score, as he was 23 of 34, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Both run games weren't great. Caden Fegan for Illinois, 17 carries, 48 yards, 1 touchdown. I didn't feel as any stats need to be presented for Duke's run game, as it was not there pretty much. Duke had 5 receivers with 30-plus yards, so no one guy in particular stood out from them. But Hank Beatty for Illinois, 8 catches, 128 yards. So as we can tell, it's kind of a thing, for these squads, is it's going to be all on quarterback play of how their seasons go. Altmaier, no turnovers. Mensah, 1 turnover, and there's your ball game. Iowa State, 16-13 Cyclones. Rocco Becht, 18-27, 134 yards and a touchdown. Just did what he needed to do. There was a couple drops that I saw, which would have led to more, but Rocco Becht, solid all in all. Run game was also solid, as you know, Iowa's defense is very solid always. Abu Sama, 12 carries, 47 yards against the Hawkeyes, and Carson Hansen, 11 carries, 46 yards against the Hawkeyes. Both those backs for Iowa State are very solid, and they have a pretty good two-headed monster in that backfield, and I think that carried this game essentially. And then Rocco Becht just making plays when he needed to make a play. On the other side, Mark Gronowski, 13-24, 83 yards, 16 carries for 37 yards. Running back Jason Patterson, 11 carries, 60 yards. I think Iowa right now is much like Cleveland, and that's where quarterbacks go to die. Because this guy, Gronowski, was a stud at South Dakota State. And, I mean, like, slinging it around, just dual threat quarterback. And that's just, I thought they would change a little with the times, especially getting a guy like Gronowski. But it's the same Iowa offense, and it's just the same old Kirk Ferentz offense. And it's not going to win in today's world. He's going to have to change with the times and allow these quarterbacks to play a little more and throw it a little more, and not run. I mean, yes, running the ball 40, 50 times a game and letting your defense play and being in 2 tight end sets, that might win you 7-8 games, but that's all you're going to get from that type of ball in today's world, as we've seen with Georgia Tech. And they've completely changed, or they don't run triple option anymore, but they're in more games too, in their new offense. Yes, they still run a lot and run the quarterback a lot, but they do it in a different way. So I think Iowa's just going to have to change with the times. That's just one of the things here. What do we got? We are at 50 minutes, and I've got 2 games left, and the look ahead for this coming week. And to recap my record for my college plays this past weekend. Game day was in Norman this past week, as we had Michigan at Oklahoma. Oklahoma takes down Michigan 24-13. John Mateer, 21 of 34, 270, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Also 19 carries and 74 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. That boy, he showed me a lot on Saturday because I was really wondering how good he actually was, because coming from Wazoo and, not playing a ton of top teams in the country, with Wazoo not being in a conference currently, and he showed me a lot. He showed me he's an SEC quarterback. He's a Heisman contender. Yeah, he is all those things. And that dude slings it. He reminds me a lot of Phillip Rivers in the way he throws the football. Just low 3/4 and lets it roll, and he just slings it. Probably better legs than Phillip Rivers, but just the way they throw the football is kind of similar, and that would be my comp for how he throws the football. And he looked really good against Michigan on Saturday. Deion Burks for the Sooners, 7 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Looks really, that dude, he's good. He's obviously wide receiver 1, and he's got a good reason to be. Still not a lot of Jaden Ott for the Sooners, which they said he was going to be involved a little more this week. I guess you can call it more. I think he had 4 carries for 9 yards or something like that. I guess that's technically more involved after the 1 carry game from week 1. I don't know what's going on there. I'll have to look into it a little bit more, do a little more research, and see if I can't give you guys an answer on that one here soon. And my question last week was, is Oklahoma sneaky good? That is not sneaky anymore. They are a good program this year. They are very good. I think currently as it stands, I would call them a college football playoff fringe team. We'll see how it goes the rest of the year. I think they got the quarterback. I think they have the defense. I think if Jaden Ott or whichever one of these running backs could get going, I think they could come and become a dangerous team this year, because you can't live on the offense being just a one-phase team. You gotta have a little bit of everything. That's what all these championship teams have. On the Michigan side, Bryce Underwood, 9 of 24 for 142. Some of that stems from the Oklahoma defense. Some of that stems from missing passes, and probably the third part of that stems from him playing as a freshman in a really big game away. His first really big game away. So I think all 3 of those combination is what that is, or that's what I would call it. Because he is a very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He is a good quarterback. He's young, hasn't played a lot of college football, and definitely has not played in an environment on the road such as he saw Saturday. A very bright spot for the Wolverines is Justice Haynes just continues to roll. 19 carries for 125 yards on Saturday against the Sooners. And the Sooners have a really good defense in all areas, run and pass defense. And so that's a really good sign for the Wolverines. As Justice Haynes continues to do that all year, they will be fine, especially the more Bryce Underwood just plays college football, the more snaps he gets. So that's what I would say from there. Is Michigan a top 25 good team? I'm going to go with yes. Are they a college football playoff team or contender? I'm going to say no. I think next year maybe, when Bryce Underwood has a year under him. But him being a freshman, and we just don't see a lot of freshman quarterbacks run. I mean, it's very rare. Could he end up going 11-1 this season and just being unbelievable? Sure, he could. But more likely is probably very similar to last year for Michigan. Is so they're probably about 9-3, 8-4, maybe 10-2. I think after this game they may go 9-3. and be just a top 25 team, and in that fringe, 15 to 20. I don't think a 9-win team ever gets in the college football playoffs unless you just have so many 9-win teams. But I highly doubt it. As we saw last year, as long as the committee sets a standard and follows it, which I highly doubt. They change it. They change what they look for every year, so it's just one of those things. But yeah, I could see them 9-3 and right around 15th. But I think they're top 25 good, but I don't think they make a college football playoff this season, anyways. And my upset of the week pick was, if you watched episode 3, was Baylor over SMU at SMU, and Baylor wins 48-45 in double overtime. And Sawyer Robertson is insane. I've said it before the season. I said it a little bit last year. I'm definitely saying it now. Sawyer Robertson is a top 5 quarterback in the country. 34 of 50, 440 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions from Sawyer Robertson. Bryson Washington, the running back, 31 carries, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. Didn't realize he had 30 carries until I was going over all my research for today. Yeah, that dude was handling the rock on Saturday. Receivers for Baylor, Josh Cameron, 9 receptions, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ashton Hawkins, 10 catches, 145 yards. And Kobe Prentice, 4 catches, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Cameron is a name to remember for the Baylor Bears. That guy is a bigger body receiver. He looks kind of like a big running back, but he's a receiver, and he's got hands, and his number makes him look like a big running back even more. He's number 34, so it's just kind of funny to see. But he is a very good receiver, and he played his tail off on Saturday for the Bears. On to the big thing for Baylor is Sawyer Robertson, over 400 yards in his first 2 games. He has over 800 yards total. The big thing from there is 0 interceptions in either game. So he is playing lights out currently. The biggest thing for Baylor right now, you got to give him some help on the other side. I think they could win the Big 12 if he gets some help. That defense has to stop giving up the big play. I think SMU had 3 50-plus yard touchdowns, at least 3. I know of 2, and I think it was 3, maybe 4. SMU, Kevin Jennings, 16 of 22 for 295, 3 touchdowns and a pick. The running back, TJ Harden, looked really, really good for SMU. 19 carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Romello Brinson, the deep threat, 4 catches, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he had 2 for 72 catches for probably hit 1 for 75 and another one for about 50, I think. Kevin Jennings still really good playmaker, which everybody knew that. Multiple big plays for SMU this week, and TJ Harden is a very good running back. I will stand by my statement that SMU is about 3rd or 4th, maybe 5th in the ACC behind, well, I don't know actually. I think Miami right now is clearly the number 1 team in that conference, and then Florida State, and then Clemson or SMU. I don't know, because SMU probably right now, Clemson has looked really bad to start this season. So that's what I'm saying about that one. And that is all for a game recap of Saturday. And we are at 59 minutes exactly. So let's run through this, a look ahead for week 3 in college football. We're going to just run through the SEC slate of games for now, and we'll get into other stuff later this week. Oklahoma travels to Temple Saturday at 11 a.m. Wisconsin Badgers go to Bryant-Denny and play Alabama at 11 a.m. on Saturday. South Alabama at Auburn at 11:45. Louisiana at Mizzou at 3 p.m. UTEP at Texas at 3:15. Alcorn State at Mississippi State at 5 p.m. A couple of good SEC matchups. Arkansas at Ole Miss at 6 o'clock. Florida goes to Baton Rouge under the lights of Death Valley at 6:30. I'm not sure what to think of that game. Eastern Michigan at Kentucky at 6:30. Another couple good games. Vandy at South Carolina at 6:45 under the lights. That's going to be a good one, I think. And then the big test right here, Texas A&M at Notre Dame at 6:30. I think that's going to be a very, very good game. We'll see if the Fighting Irish can get Jeremiah Love going this weekend or not. And then College Game Day travels to Knoxville, Tennessee this Saturday for number 6 Georgia and number 15 Tennessee. And like I said, I'm going to do my own little segment and release that Thursday for that game and talk all things Georgia at Tennessee. And that is your SEC slate for this coming week. And I will look into the other big games the rest of this week. And hope you guys look forward to Friday's episode of All Things Ball on for this weekend of college football. Just before I let you guys go, my record for this week of plays, where it was 15-3 in moneyline plays and 8-10 in spread plays. So that is that, and hope you guys won some money. Hope your teams won. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, like, subscribe. It'll only help me out and grow this thing, and that way we can start doing live shows is what I'm hoping to get to first. I'm going to set goals for each little thing, but that is the first thing on the docket, is to get to live shows. That way I can do these things live for you. And we're just about at a minute or an hour and 2 minutes. And so that will be all for episode 5 of the Southern Spread. Thank you guys for joining, and hope to see you the rest of this week.